Well, I do work outside of Radio Entrepreneurs, and hello, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Davis, and I work at Mage LLC, management consulting firm in the Boston area. But, every week I wait for Sheriff Sharkey, Phil Sharkey from the higher authority, to tell us about workplace, people lying, deception, employers who don't check employees properly. It's one of the most exciting segments we have on Radio Entrepreneurs, and I just don't get it why more employers don't check out things before they get themselves in their own little quagmires. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Jeff. And I couldn't agree with you more, obviously. And what I get a lot too is really frustrating. I get a lot of pushback and like your big brother and you're coming down on people. And Jeff, people need a second, third, fourth, 35th chance. And it's so frustrating to me because what I'm going to show you today is an example we have of these are all people. It's a very interesting article that had previous assaults, violent charges, some type of criminal history in the past, were then hired. And then I have an example to you from our whole across.
I wonder how many of them I know.
You may know a few. You may know a few because I get a lot of that, Jeff. I get a lot of people going like, well, you know what, you can't, why bother screening? Because that's probably the first time they did that. And it's not the case.
I told an old client this weekend who was with me. I was chairman of the board of his company. And we talked maybe 25 years ago about why I never really wrote the book about his company.
Okay.
And I said, if I wrote a tell-all book about 700 organizations, I would have to go in the witness protection program and change my identity.
It's so true. And the fact to me, these are all examples from 2022. So we're not going far back at all. And I'm just going to grab we're going to go right across the country here, Jeff. So these are workplace violence issues. This was put together by a company called Bright Path. And it's the 20 notable workplace violence incidents from 2022. We're just going to do a handful because we don't have the time, of course, to go into depth. But let me grab here Virginia. This was at a Walmart, Chesapeake, Virginia. A Walmart manager opened fire on fellow employees. So these are the type of things that occur as we see notably. Unfortunately, they don't even make the news any longer, where it used to be shock and awe. But again, these examples, Jeff, are people that in the past had some issue which had a background check been conducted, a criminal check, most likely would not have been hired due to their violent path. As we say,
he pulled an Elmer Fudd. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, we say to my business, a leopard doesn't change their spots. And people today, I'm often push up against people like give another chance. But your entrepreneurs, your business owners out there, you're really rolling the dice that people have violence tendencies today, and they have the means to do something about it. And they do. So that was Virginia. Jeff, why don't you give me a state? Just grab a state off the top of your head and let's see if I have an example from that state. So what do you got? Give me a state. Any state.
I'm gonna go close to home and see what you can get for me. Massachusetts.
Well, Massachusetts, we happen to have an example. This has happened last year at a Cambridge construction site. 2 people were stabbed by a coworker. This is at Sean Lee Construction, and it was over a debt that one of the people owed the other. One person was stabbed critically. Another coworker jumped in to help, was also stabbed in the lung. So Massachusetts did make the list there. And let's jump out to, I don't know, I'm just going to go to Arizona. We'll go way on the other side of the country here.
Nice state.
Nice state. We have a Wendy's employee in Arizona has been arrested last year, charged with murder after he allegedly sucker punched a customer, which resulted in the death of that customer.
What, you wanted mustard?
Exactly, people, and I understand we have a lot of. It seems to me a lot happens in fast food. There's a lot of pressure there, So
come on, give me a little white collar stupidity.
Let me give you something here. How about Hackensack, New Jersey? We have a travel nurse who's accused of attacking an employee at the Hackensack University Medical Center and setting her on fire. So again,
that'll get you what you want.
Yeah, quite an angry person. Let's go with Canada, Jeff. Let's go jump borders and go up to your fine country of Canada. I know that relates to you quite closely. We have a McDonald's in Sundre, Alberta.
Yeah.
A 27-year-old man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with the death of a coworker, something over the timesheets and clocking in. So again, more anger that we have all over our country as well as yours.
Well, they're both my countries. I get a universal application of criticism of my 2 homelands.
So both you hear from both sides.
I'm a dual citizen. I'm a
I
I
understand. I understand that
I
totally.
have a foot in both places.
Both places. How about a Hyundai dealership? Should be a calm place, I would think. In Slidell, Louisiana, a man is in custody last year after police say he shot and killed his coworker at the dealership. Again, something over a disagreement over timesheets or duties that were dealt out.
Now you know why we don't ask our producer, Jillian King, for timesheets. We're all scared of Jillian.
I do not give Jillian any difficulty at all. I agree. And I'm going to take, I know we're running close on our time, but Cincinnati, Ohio, a Little Caesars Pizza, an employee was recently fired from the Little Caesars, tried to get their job back, but ended up, instead of getting their job back, shooting and critically wounding the manager instead. So wasn't their intent. They went there to get their job back, but they didn't handle things quite as one should. Jeff, we got them all over the country. California, at a ranch market, 99 Ranch Market in Chino Hills, California, a grocery store employee is facing an attempted murder charge after an ongoing feud with a coworker escalated to violence. So you see a lot of violence, a lot of escalations. A FedEx employee in Memphis, Tennessee, is facing attempted murder charges as police say he shot his coworker and tried to.
And FedEx employees are screened.
They are screened, and you do wonder what that screening involves. Is it an in-depth and thorough screen like we do? Many of my people say, just check that current address. If they live on the Cape, just check Barnstable Courthouse. You're fine. That is almost never successful. You have to do an in-depth. You have to find out all the locations that you live, that I live, that the employee lived. And that's usually where criminal situations occur, not where they are, where they were. And just for a small fee, we can find out the address history of a person and conduct a thorough background check. So that is my beef with the situation. And the numbers, Jeff, that bear out from the company called Zippia, Career Experts, is that approximately 396,000 assaults occur in the workplace every year. 51,000 are rapes and sexual assaults right in the workplace. And the big number, not that those are terrible numbers, but is that on average, workplace violence causes American businesses 250 to 330 billion every year. And that's with a B, that's $1 billion. So it occurs, it happens. Stop telling me that, well, they need a second or third chance. Make a hiring decision that's an astute decision. And if there's past history of violence or anger, it's probably going to resurface again.
One of the things I've learned as a management consultant is one strike and you're out. But I will say, you made me think of something else, Phil, when you mentioned 50,000 sexual abuse cases. And that is, how many of these cases in total that you just listed are against a female gender? And what kind of fear are women employees living under versus male employees? Now, males maybe don't even think about being violated.
Right.
And maybe they should. So maybe we should be living in fear. I know me, I'm not a big guy, so it wouldn't take much for me to be scared of you, Phil. Probably boo would work. But for a woman, it's different. And that makes me feel bad.
Yeah. And again,
you can't go, I've heard stories about, I didn't go to my car at night in the dark.
Yeah. And companies, and I do deal with a lot of human resource people and many very successful companies that have many things in place and checkpoints, and they really handle things as best as they can. But the first place to start is to check that person coming in. It's a society now where you just can't do a handshake and look and say, hey, Jeff, you look like a good guy. It's not that situation. It's not the person that's coming in smelling of booze or all over the place or tattered. They look just like we do. They look totally calm and professional until they're not. And they have a history, and you can check it out for a very reasonable fee.
And that's the real thesis here. And that is, all you have to do is call Phil, Sheriff Sharkey, and within 24 hours, you will have the data you need to make your decision properly.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. It's pretty simple.
It's a simple format. It sets your parameters in place. And if you do set it in place, many of the people that have history, they'll know that. You won't even have to spend money. They'll come in, you're doing a background check and a thorough, diligent one. And they'll say, hey, Jeff, hold on, let me get my resume. And you'll hear them peel out in the backyard. You don't have to spend any money at all.
I worked at a university for a few years back, and they did a background check on me. And, I had to fill in this form. It took me 3 days of my whole career history. And I was so worried that I couldn't remember everything going back to every single year of my career because they were going to do such a thorough check that I'd make a mistake. But no one has ever been that thorough with me again, only once.
Yeah. And again, I get that pushback and people don't want to delve that thing because the cost goes up. But hey, just do an address search and a criminal search. And all these examples we went through today could have been eliminated for those companies. And what they don't mention is the reflection on the company. Was the company no longer in business now? Have they been countersued or civil suits? The reputation, do people even want to go in there? It ruins your brand. And to me, it's just mind-boggling that people don't want to take the effort to delve into protecting yourself.
And before you go, I'm just going to say, and the vast majority of white collar crime in a business happens from financial people that you're close to in your business. And you should be checking those people out too. And I see it all the time. Oh, he or she, good controller, good CFO, good bookkeeper, good accountant. These are the people who have access to your numbers. These are the people that do it to you. So
Absolutely.
Phil, if someone wants to get your assistance, how do they find you?
Jeff, right on the internet, it's hireauth.com. Our name shortened, HIREAUTH.com. You can call the office toll free at 888-230-5901. You actually get through to people here. You don't go into voicemail. And it's very important for our clients to be able to reach us. So we're here ready to assist and to hopefully protect companies possibly from being put into bankruptcy by hiring such a person that could do this type of harm to you.
And for our listeners, get geared up for the fall because Phil Sharkey is preparing a series of stories on these workplace issues. And you need to stay tuned and subscribe to Phil Sharkey on Radio Entrepreneurs. And we'll be back with Phil before the end of the summer on Radio Entrepreneurs.